So I have a couple more training related questions, and then we're going to flip over to racing. But one of them is about kind of the idea of burnout. So somebody was asking, what should I do when I feel burnout? Should I push through with the plan, or is it better to stop and pull back? And burnout is obviously a nebulous word, but what do you have on that kind of thought?
Yeah, so I never, ever, ever recommend pushing through burnout. Now, it takes a relatively experienced athlete, or just kind of somebody who's in tune with their body, to understand if what you're experiencing is genuinely burnout, or if you're just really fatigued. If you're in the end stages of your very specific training cycle, if you're training for a half marathon, a marathon, you've been doing this for a couple months, couple weeks till race day, yeah, you're going to feel pretty fatigued, right? It should be manageable. You shouldn't be dead to the world, but you're going to be feeling the months and the miles that you've been running. Burnout, I tend to see burnout manifest first in an emotional way, right? It doesn't show up in training right away. What it shows up first as is kind of a vague sense of dread about going on runs. Be like, I don't want to go on that run. And not just like one time, right? We all have days where we're like, I just don't want to do that today, right? But this is like, I kind of went through that today. I was like, I don't want to go on my long run today. I did anyways. But it's more of like that. It's like this persistent kind of dread or anxiety on runs that really have no business being ones that you would be dreadful or anxious about, right? Oh, I really don't want to go on that 5 mile easy run. Oh, why, right? Is there something else going on? Burnout is kind of, I don't know if it's a palatable way of saying it's a mismatch between how much you're expending and how much you're recovering, right? And so we have to remember that our training does not happen in a vacuum. Although there may be training related factors that can contribute to the overextension of your resources and basically depleted yourself. Mostly this is not running easy enough on easy days is the number one thing burnout I see that's training related. But if you also have other extenuating circumstances in your life going on, if you are not sleeping well, if your job stress is super high, if your kids are sick for the 85th time this year, right? If you're not fueling your body, if you're under fueling relative to your output, that can cause low energy availability, which is a really kind of clinical way of saying actual burnout, like your body is starving. So if you are experiencing these symptoms of burnout, I don't want to do this, right? So it starts from, I don't want to do this, and you do it and you're like, this was okay, but like, I still don't want to do it the next time. And then eventually if your run starts suffering, you really need to back off. There's nothing wrong with taking an unplanned rest day. And I would so much rather a runner be proactive in their recovery. This is not a failure of training. This is you being proactive in your recovery. Take a day off, take 2 days off, take a week off if you really need it, right? Yeah. That is going to result in a better outcome than you pushing through and breaking down. Yep. And that's going to be a real problem if we get to that place.
That's huge. A week off does not reverse. Detraining doesn't start till after that. So it's okay. Which is so hard when you're working really hard on something too. It's hard to swallow that reality, but that's awesome advice.